What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mike Dolce Show. Today, I am super excited to bring on the godfather of the garage gym business and the man who pioneered the private sector of sports performance training, my friend, Mr. Joe Defranco. Joey, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? It's great to see you, talk to you. It's been way too long. I'm excited.
I don't, dude, how long has it been?
It's been a while. I know. So I looked. We may have spoken or texted. I did something with you on YouTube or something maybe 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
then you were on my podcast the first year I started, which is now 9 years ago. So
Damn.
it goes way too fast.
It really does. It's funny how quick time moves, and it's like when you're in it, you don't feel any different. But then when you look back, you're like, holy shit! My
Yep.
like we're gonna get it so many times. There's so much to talk about, and we don't have tons and tons of time because God, we could fucking talk for hours. We could talk just about food in New Jersey compared to every other state in the nation. We can have that conversation. Well, first question: pork roll or Taylor ham?
I'm a Taylor Ham guy
Yeah, because you're up north.
because yeah, that big argument. I think it's not. I know it's just what part of New Jersey you were raised. North Jersey guys, it was just always Taylor Ham, egg and cheese, and you go more south and it's pork roll.
Pork roll, but it's the same damn processed meat.
It's whatever we none of us really know what it is, but we call it Taylor Ham, and the South Jersey guys call it pork roll. None of us know what the hell it is.
No, but I mean, if I look back and think how many, I don't want to say pounds because it's got to be more than pounds, closer to like tons, right? Of this have I eaten since a boy, all the way. I don't know if for like through all of my mid 20s, all my teens and 20s, I don't think I ever went to a diner or didn't order a pork or egg and cheese omelet.
That was my go-to forever. From like a kid going to the diner with my parents to college drunk days and going to the diner and having the Taylor Ham, egg and cheese, or two or three of them after a long night of drinking, or the next morning after a long night of drinking. Like it was the go-to order for decades, as much as I hate to admit it. But yeah, I've consumed a hell of a lot of Taylor Ham / pork roll myself.
Now, how about disco fries? Was that a thing up there too?
So that's my order. Taylor Ham, egg and cheese, and disco fries. That's
We are
it.
the same person, bro. 100% like, and disco fries might be similar to like a poutine if you're, French or up in Canada, right? It's the fries, it's the gravy, it's some sort of cheese. Usually in a diner, we're not getting curds, we're getting mozzarella on top of French fries with like a turkey gravy, whatever kind of gravy they have in the back, right? We didn't even care. We were like,
No,
whatever.
whatever left over from 4 days ago, that's what you got on your fries.
Fucking pour it on. That's right, man. All right. So many like what I want to do is I want to start in the beginning. And you are the first guest that I haven't done interviews in quite a few years now. Like I kind of like fell off. I was a little inconsistent. I was pretty consistent with just me ranting here, an hour a day just ranting to my poor audience. I apologize, guys. And I realized I got to bring back the people that I deeply respect, the people that I pay attention to, that I listen to, that I would actually have come train me. If I wanted to find a coach or a trainer, well, this is the group, the small select group of what I call my super friends, of the people I respect. And you, of course, are top on this list, brother. And
I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you.
Of course, like we've been in the game a long fucking time, and we know everybody. We know the behind the scenes stuff that never makes it to the light of day. We know, right?
Yep.
There's some quote coaches who are smart and they might have some cool stuff, but I'm not letting these motherfuckers around my wife and kids. You know what I mean? I'm not letting these people anywhere near my brand, my wallet. Like, fuck these motherfuckers. Right? I don't want to live in the same town as these dudes. As
Mm,
smart as they might be on Instagram or they might be charismatic, no way. So, like for me, my criteria, my bar is very high. And now I say I will only work with someone if I will happily invite them to dinner in my home with my family.
I
Like if
love that.
I don't have that relationship, if I don't think that of you, like I'm not going to make money with you. Don't wish you bad, don't wish you harm, but it's like I don't need that energy in my life, right? Because I'm an older guy now. I think we've earned that ability.
Absolutely. I
So
like even in our industry, I've been talking more and more about we have a couple coaching programs and mentorship programs now, and young up and coming personal trainers slash gym owners. And I was that guy, like super hyper focused on the technical aspect of training. I went every seminar you could go to. I was at like 15 different Charles Poliquin seminars by the time I was 20 years old.
wow.
I had every certification, obsessed with the technical aspect of getting stronger, getting faster, performance-based training, all that shit. Now I'm focusing so much more on the personal side of personal training, relationships, communication skills, and it's exactly in line with what you were just saying. Like you said, you could be the smartest trainer in the world, but if I don't trust you, if you're not a good person, if you're not a good human, I don't want you to train me. I don't want you to train my kids. I don't want you anywhere near my business. And that it's funny. Now I've shifted where we teach that first. Like, you better be a good human. You better learn how to communicate with people, talk to people, genuinely give a shit before, you know, the old expression, people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Yes,
That's
sir.
real in this industry. And that's why both you and I could probably do a whole podcast on people that were like big names 15, 20 years ago that aren't in the industry anymore. It's not because they weren't pretty smart training wise, it's because they didn't have that personal side. And it can't be overstated.
Yeah, and I could think back to, you're kind of reminding me, there's a lot of names I won't mention now that they come guns blazing into the industry. They try and make a mark. They get a little bit of headline, and all of a sudden they're gone. Now, are they
Yep.
gone because, well, they didn't know what they were talking about in the first place? Maybe. Or are they gone because they burned so many fucking bridges that their reputation is out? It's ruined. Nobody
Yep.
wants to work with them anymore. They're damaged goods. Most of the time, that's what happens. And it's usually a little bit of both. They come in pretending they know something that's not true, but then their business practices are usually as misaligned as their, flawed therapeutics, let's say, or their professional skill set that they're trying to profess and put out there. And they just disappear. But guys like you, man, you've been in the industry forever. I mean, your entire adult life, you have been an elite trainer, which is not lip service. It's a fact. And I
Yeah.
want,
Yeah, I'm not to cut you off, but it literally it's true. I graduated college 21 years old, got an internship at the Parisi Speed School because at that time it was like the only kind of performance training center. I wanted to work with athletes, and it just wasn't around. Like, if you were going to get into the gym business, you worked at a Gold's Gym or World Gym, and nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to go more the sports performance route. But anyway, not to get into my whole story, but I was 21. I did a 1 year long internship, didn't get paid, but I mean, I got incredible experience. I was actually training people, general pop clients at the time, and then dabbling, getting to work with some high level athletes, younger kids. Then I got hired, worked there for 5 years, and then left and started my own business. So I've been a professional coach, like I actually paying my bills, not an online influencer, none of the bullshit we have now, actually working with real people from the day I turned 21, basically, and I'm about to be 50 a few months from now. And I don't think I've taken more than a week off in that period. So yeah, I've been in the industry about it as long as you could be. as a human being at this point.
And when you say you took a week off, you were still programming, you were still research. You don't take an
One
hour off, bro.
1000%. Ask my wife what I've gotten a little bit better. But ask my wife what our first vacations looked like. When she would go to bed, I wrote my first ebook in the bathroom on vacation because we were staying in a hotel room it was like just a regular one room, one kind of bedroom hotel room.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to keep the lights on and keep her up. So after she'd go to bed, I'd literally go in the bathroom and write and program. And that's what my vacations generally were. Time with the family during the day, they go to bed. I sneak off into the bathroom or the hotel lobby and work the whole time. So you're right. I probably haven't had more than a day off in in the 30-year career.
And I think that's what a lot of people might not get in any profession, whether it's health and fitness, let's say, or really any profession. You do this because this is what you do. Like if you were an accountant, you'd be sitting, filing tax reports, thinking about, speed velocity curves, right? Right. You would be thinking like, man, I got this client. He's got an Achilles injury. He's got a competition coming up. How can I keep him training and on task and rehab the injury and not, let him slide backwards on any of these matches? You would constantly, it's just how you are wired. And I think a lot of people miss that. They want to get into the industry because they want to be Joe Defranco. They want to work with famous athletes and have a nice business and all the things that come with it. But when they're off the clock, they want to put in their 40 hours and be done. They don't understand that it's not a job. You are called to do this. This is just what you do.
It's absolutely, it's a lifestyle. I think it's a great kind of, what would you call it? It's damn, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to find out what you are meant to do. I would say some of the best advice I've ever heard, but I guess I just kind of naturally did it. And I forget who said it, but it holds so true. If you won the lottery, billions of dollars, you never had to work another day in your life, your kids, what would you do? You might vacation for a while, but eventually you got to do something. You're not going to go the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life just watching Netflix. What's the thing that you would do if money was no object, not a concern? I would have a gym. I'd be training some people. I might not do it 18 hours a day like I used to, but absolutely, I'd have some kind of a free gym. I'd still work with a certain population of people who really needed help and maybe couldn't afford it. But that is exactly, I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now, to be honest. Maybe not as many hours, but absolutely, I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I want to get more into the business side here, but before we get there, I want to go back in time a little bit, and I want to give the audience a better understanding as to who you were as a child. And I believe the origin story for us is very important. Like before the DeFranco, training system, the gym, the strong bastard, before all of your accolades, right? Very beginning, your earliest days, like what was your childhood like? What kind of kid were you? Like what were your inputs, external influences? Like how was life in the very, very early days? And let's kind of just march forward from there.
So I was actually, people are always shocked to hear this because like you, I'm having a podcast and talking and coaching and kind of what I am very passionate about what I do. So I'm animated when I speak and talk loud and all this shit. I
You're
was,
from Jersey. You're the fucking let's go. Hands
you
up.
tie my hands together and we got to cancel this show. I wouldn't be able to speak, but
Yep.
yeah, but I ask anyone who knew like 7, 8, 9-year-old Joe DeFranco. I was a very shy, quiet kid. And I guess it's funny. I have like the perfect 50% mix of my parents. My dad, who a lot of people who follow my content know, like lunatic, military background, state trooper, competed in powerlifting, was a world arm wrestling champ, had his own private gym, and just super type A competitive, crazy bastard. But like discipline, and I grew up, it was the you treat everybody with respect. Don't speak until you're spoken to. Say yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, please. But don't take any shit from anyone. Anybody crosses your path, talk shit, fucks with you. My dad used to always say, somebody messes with you at school, somebody starts a fight with you, don't come home unless you win you win the fight or you stand up for yourself. Otherwise, don't come home, don't come crying to me, that kind of thing. Then you have the other side, my mom, who was she was a school teacher, but the other career she was going to get into was she was going to be a nun, like super religious to this day, sits with her rosary beads, prays, 15, 20 times a day, quiet, the most kind and caring person ever. And I think I got like a pretty good mix of both of that because I was very quiet and I would like to think kind, considerate kid, but I was obsessed with football for whatever reason. I loved the contact and like hitting people, and I even liked getting hit. It was just like it was just in me, in my DNA. I was I would put on a football helmet, and the only time I got in trouble as a kid was running around the house, and I would run into the walls in our house pretending like I'm a fullback in the NFL, putting my head down, running into walls, jumping on the couch. That was the only trouble I really got in as a kid. So I had that mix of like almost two different personalities, but it wasn't an act. I'm naturally a quiet kid. I kept to myself. I got good grades in school. I'd say I was popular because I was good at, I was a very good athlete. So you kind of naturally get that respect, but I
Yeah.
was never cocky. I was always very nice to even like the nerdy kids. I wasn't a bully or anything. And that was really my childhood, just, minding my own business, but was obsessed with football from the day I could remember. And my life revolved around training for football and playing football. And then that's how, when the football career ended because of some unfortunate injuries, a lot of people know I ended up developing a tumor in my sacrum that went misdiagnosed. It was kind of a nightmare. Then I had a bunch of concussions that caught up to me. And that's when like the love of training then filled that void of not playing football. And so I studied exercise science in college and went all in on that.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you were dropping breadcrumbs, it becomes a very clear line of where you are now from where you started and began with, right? And it's always interesting to understand where we come from. I'm kind of obsessed now with the origin stories before people hit this level of success and aptitude. What was the catalyst that brought them to that point, right? Because to me, that's almost infers the intention where
Mm,
we all get into this for a specific reason. We have an aptitude for it, but there's always this driving passion behind it. For me, it was kind of unearthing my father's own health issues and me kind of being a witness to watching my father, have a stroke, heart attack, die, my family torn apart. And like, I became just so aware of mortality and health. And now I look back, it's lifestyle related illness and
mm,
all of the things that he did wrong. I'm in a way trying to fix, like trying to fix myself so I don't do that to my own kids, trying to help other guys, fix their lives. And it just kind of manifested into athletics because, well, I was a young kid at the time working with athletes and wrestlers and combat and all that. And it slowly kind of came through. And I started to realize that in my later 20s, early 30s, it's like I don't really care as much about athletics as I thought I did. I can make money doing it. I actually care about people living
mm.
healthy lives. And it was a weird awareness. Like I kind of like, it was like PTSD. I woke up one day with like this general awareness of it. So it's kind of like that origin story is always so interesting.
Yeah, and it's such a like now you have such a higher purpose than just, I want to be good at sports. All right. Even I just want to help people. Like I didn't know that about your dad. I mean, that's very powerful. And that's a powerful why, why you do what you do. It's interesting to hear that, but like you said, it makes sense then. It all kind of comes together when you see your career now and your success. It all adds up, you know.
Yeah, and it's like I was sick of the athletes. I was getting to the point that I like the phone would ring. I was like, fuck, I don't want to answer this phone. It's like, oh my God, you know who that is? It's like, yeah. I know you've had these moments too because oh my God, they're gonna need so much emotionally of me. I don't have like the to me, I don't want to project here, but I was like, God damn, they want to make more money and they want to be a bigger superstar. Like their why and my why were not as aligned. And
Hmm.
they didn't care about living better, being a better father or husband, or they didn't kind of care as much about that. And I'm not criticizing them because they were in that moment of their life. And
Yes.
we all get so it's I became misaligned, I think, which is why I transitioned. But you've also transitioned in a very interesting way to what you're focused on now, where you're a much more, because I mean, you are, still are, but you were the fucking guy who was building machines, building fucking monsters, and then smashing them into each other. And your monsters were still standing, right? You were that guy. But now you're much more focused on this longevity path, mobility path. Like, give us, I want to understand a little bit more about your genesis from where you were, because like all your materials are still out there. So it's like if you're, teens, 20s, 30s, you want to be fucking a strong bass, big strong motherfucker, dude, go look at DeFranco's stuff. But also, if you're 35, 45, 55, and you're looking to be a fucking pain-free
Mm.
athlete now, Joe's got you too. So give me a little bit more and educate me now.
So yeah, it wasn't even something I planned. It was just kind of a natural progression in my career. And I mean, one thing I know, working with the highest level athletes in the world, you do realize from a training standpoint and some of the things they have to do to get in that octagon and compete in a 5 round fight or play in the NFL for 16, 17 freaking games a season. When you train at the highest level, that type of extreme training isn't healthy. Like you might
No,
you look at that UFC fighter and yeah, we love their physique. I'd love to be built like that guy, or I want to be built like that NFL running back. But what they're doing to their body is not healthy. And in fact, the higher level athlete, the less healthy that everything becomes. Forget the sport itself. We know getting punched and kicked in the face, getting choked out isn't healthy. Playing football, 70 car crash, the equivalent of 70 car accidents a day during a game is certainly not healthy. And so when you work with that caliber of athlete, and I loved it at the time, and I still do, but what naturally kind of happened was going kind of full circle of what we talked about at the beginning of this discussion. We've been in the game so long, those high school, college, pro guys that I trained naturally, even the one percenters that I trained that went from high school to college that played in the NFL for 8, 9, 10 years, eventually they retired and now their bodies are beat up. They want to get healthy. Now it's not about going to the extreme and being an all-pro linebacker. It's about, hey, I just had my first kid. It hurts to pick him up. I want to be able to have a pass with him. I want to be able to play with him. I'm dealing with guys that are 32, 33 years old and their bodies feel like they're 83 years old. And so it just naturally kind of transitioned into, all right, let's focus a little bit more on mobility. We don't need to box squat heavy twice a week. We don't need to do this or that. And now I'm not 21 anymore either. Like I've aged with these guys. So the training just kind of naturally evolved into that. And what I noticed was here I thought oh, now if I post about what I'm doing with this former football player or what I'm doing as a 40-year-old washed up meathead who's got all these old injuries and surgeries, people are going to find that boring. Like they're going to say, bring back we want to know how to run a 4.2-second 40-yard dash. I want to know how to trap bar deadlift 800 pounds. But what happened was that content that I was posting, the more longevity based feel good content, it just caught on. And I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of people who wake up with low back pain, who can't bench press because their shoulders all fucked up, whose knees crack every time they walk up and down the stairs. It sounds like, you're pouring milk into a bowl of Rice Krispies. Like
Yep.
that's more common than the kid with the goal of playing in the NFL. Or I shouldn't say every kid might have that goal, but to actually make it to the NFL or make it to the UFC, you're talking about 1% of the 1% of the population. So now my content, while I still love the high performance training and I work with a few athletes here and there, it's more longevity based for the 99%.
And as an aside question, where do you think the line is of the risk to reward for these athletes? And I'm more on the combat, the UFC side. Most of the UFC athletes, my opinion, my suggestion to them is retire, get a job, right? Be a martial artist for the rest of your life. Stop getting hit in the fucking head. Stop cutting weight. Like, stop signing up for these competitions. Stop. Because, kid, if you're lucky, you're going to make 60 to 80 grand for a couple years in a row, and then you're fucking done. Your resume is shit. Nobody's hiring a former UFC fighter who went 3-2 or 2-3. You're lucky if you made a little bit of money, but now you got CTI, you got TBI, TB, is it CTE, TBI? Your brain's fucking scrambled, your ACL's been torn, you're gonna need fucking a disc replacement, most likely. And now what are you gonna do? You're gonna go and be an HVAC guy if you're
Yeah.
fucking lucky, which is great. One of my good friends was an HVAC guy. He got a beach house and he raised 6 kids.
The dude who put my AC and heat in my garage gym is doing pretty damn good himself.
Fucking
I know what he charged me, so he's doing all right. But
they're
I know your point.
So it's like, and then, who I was talking to someone, I forget, and they're like, yeah, but if you can make 10 mil, and you can solidify your current family and your grandchildren, then it's worth it. It's worth, the damage, and kind of then you're going to spend 20, 30 years managing pain.
Yep.
Most of these guys, and fuck, him, man. I see it, right? Michael Bisping just had disc fusion fucking surgery. He's younger than I am. A lot of these guys, Weidman, disc replacement, fucking compound fracture of his tibia. Jesus Christ, Connor. Like, we can go through the list of these are just UFC guys. Fight twice a year. NFL guys, whole nother story. But is there, and just for, shits and giggles, like, what is that number? It's like, you know what? You can make 10 mil over 4 years. Yeah, right. I could see it. Or is it not worth it?
I think that's an individual thing, definitely. But it generally speaking, yes, I think for most people, my advice would be it would have to be what's enough money that I never have to worry about money again. And then definitely my kids. And for me, it would probably even be, maybe my kids' kids. But again, it's an individual thing. But you have to be in that upper echelon. It is not worth, making 80 grand a fight, and then maybe you get 3 or 4 fights, and then you're out of the UFC, and you have all the same, regardless of your record, is you got all the same damage, pretty much as everyone else. So yeah, you need to make that decision and really take a long, hard look. Like, what's realistically my odds of making Conor McGregor money or something? And that's, I think, the problem. I think most people, and it's natural, right? If you're a young up and coming guy who loves the UFC and you train MMA and you're pretty good, in your mind you think, what are the top 1% guys making? Oh, I could make millions. But 99.9%, even the guys, 99% of the guys in the UFC aren't going to be set for life. You know that better than anyone, and that's, to your point, a lot of damage to take, for a 3 to 5 year career maybe. So you need to make that. You really need to make that decision. Is it worth it? And for me, you would need to make a hell of a lot of money for that decision to be worth it.
Yeah, I mean it's better to fucking hop on an HVAC truck, go and be an apprentice for a craftsman because you're probably looking at 200-300K a year.
Mm.
Once, I mean, that's what these guys are making. Not even the owners, right? God, the owners, whew, you know, and I'm just kind of pushing more to the craftsman side for any of the young kids listening or the parents out there who think their kid's going to be the next Tom Brady or whatnot. Odds are he or she's not. Let them play. And just a little bit of practical advice before we move on is let them get the education. I work with a lot of, scholastic wrestlers. I really like that because I'm trying to save these kids from all the fucking damage of weight cutting. And
That we need this, and not to get off topic, but that we need to make a shift where the best coaches aren't working with the pro guys and girls. They're working with that age. Get them before the bad habits, the damage. We're backwards in our industry. Everyone thinks you made it if you work with the pro athletes. And yes, it's cool, but way more impactful to work with kids from 7 to 17 years old rather than once they already made it.
bro, such a good point. So
That's a
you're
whole nother.
100%. Imagine how good, it's like the Russian system. Imagine how good these kids would be if you're getting world-class coaching in the formative years.
Yes.
So by the time they're young adults, 18, 19, 20, they're already going to have the Olympic caliber skill set downloaded into them. I don't say you don't need world-class coaches at that point, but you pretty much don't.
Think of how many high level athletes do we know that you see clips on Instagram that are where they are at in spite of their training, not because of it. There's some shit I see clips of LeBron James training and some of these NFL running backs, and I'm just like, they're not in the NFL because they did that. They're in the NFL because they are genetic freaks, and whoever is training them got lucky. They're attaching their name to them. But I know for me, the clients I'm most proud of that you hear me talking about the most, I had the good fortune, and I don't know how many people, I don't know if there's anyone else who could say this. In my old storage, my first storage closet gym, which was literally a storage closet, 7 kids who were in high school age kids, went on to play in the NFL. So I got to work with kids, 7 different kids, which is if you have one kid that you worked with, I think that's kind of crazy, but 7 high school, college, NFL careers. And listen, I'm not taking credit. Many of them may have been there anyway, but when I look back and I look at the impact that I had on them, it's certainly greater than like the NFL All-Pro who just walked into my gym and wanted me to help him out for the last few years of his career. That's cool too, but way, way more impactful to work with that kid when he's 13, 14, 15. You really can make a difference at that point.
Absolutely, brother. I think that's got to be a record because that is so rare. Almost every coach listening right now has 0.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it might be a little luck involved. I don't know, but yeah, we could. And not all of them were big superstars, but they made it to the 1% and played at least 1 year in the NFL. So my point is more, I know what it's like to work with kids when they're younger, and the training and even just your life advice, nutrition, giving them the basics of nutrition. What's a carbohydrate? What's a protein? What's a fat? I feel like I would just had so much more impact on those kids at that age, as opposed to the 29-year-old who's worked with 7 different trainers at that point, and how many different strength coaches in college, and they're already kind of set in their ways and stubborn. You're not going to make as much of an impact, obviously, as if you get a kid at 13, 14 years old or even younger.
Absolutely. And then great segue. So you are the godfather of the garage gym business, and I love that. But let's go back a little bit and talk about the evolution of DeFranco's gym. Now, I know the story because we've discussed it before, but I want you to kind of go back and share the story, the genesis of DeFranco's gym, which this concept did not exist. Now, everyone listening right now, they're used to, oh, garage gyms, COVID, it's a normal. CrossFit gyms, boxes in the garage. Yeah, lift up the doors. Normal. No, 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 no. Take us back to the very beginning of how DeFranco's gym actually started, and then kind of how now, where the world is today as you look back.
Yeah, it's funny because it's just, I guess it's taken for granted, but there were not the Parisi Speed School, which was a the spot. I always give Bill credit. Bill Parisi, the owner, that was like the mega speed, agility, quickness center, multi-million-dollar facility when the flagship facility, which is still in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, that's the last spot I worked before I started my own spot. And so when I left, I had worked there for 5 years, and we had some differences. It was time for me to move on, and I didn't, and I'm not throwing shade, but as you know, you don't make a ton of money in this industry. Even though I was working with pro athletes, I'm getting paid as a trainer. I'm doing fine. I got my own apartment, I got a nice truck, but not enough to like invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in a beautiful facility. So, and I don't come from money. My dad was a police officer, my mom was a teacher, and then she got MS and had to retire early. So I don't come from money. So again, going back to, I know what I'm passionate about. There's nothing else in the world I could do as a profession. I don't think I would be good at much else. Maybe teaching something related, but like, I know I got to make this work. So the gym that I trained at in college, shout out Odyssey Athletic Center. Phil Rosen was the owner at the time. I developed a relationship with this guy because when I would come home from college, I would lift at this gym. Nice guy. And when I left Parisi's and I was looking for my own facility, I knew nothing about business, real estate. I'm thinking like, hey, I live in the dirty Jersey. Like, I didn't know it was expensive. I was so naive. You live with your parents, and I had my own apartment, but I didn't think much of it. Like, I didn't realize how much freaking real estate was to rent a shitty building, like a one little room, freaking broken down building, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month over. I was just like, holy shit. So that's what led me to, I was working out at Odyssey at this gym, and the owner, he had asked me, what's going on? What are you going to do? I shared my situation, and that's when he offered the closet. Literally, he goes, hey, there's a closet back, and he points. I worked out at this gym all through college. I had no idea. He goes, yeah, if you walk down that hallway, it's just like a storage closet. We have our broken equipment and shit in there. I'll clean that out for you. You want to throw, a coat of paint on there, I'll rent out that room, because he goes, I know you probably don't. He was funny because he's like, you probably don't want to be in the regular gym with all these regular people. I know you work with, some high level athletes and have a certain style. And if you want to listen to your own music, you could have that room. And to me, that was like, the greatest thing that ever happened. Even though it's a 500 square foot room, it was nothing, but it was a space I could call my own. And that was the evolution. So I didn't think anything of it. I just know, hey, I got my own space, and I'll buy 3 pieces of equipment to get me started. And it's also a great lesson for like aspiring trainers, gym owners, or really any profession. It's not about we just talked about this earlier, personal training. It's 50% personal, 50% training. I had been in the industry now for 5 years. I had developed a really good reputation. There were a good number of people that wanted to train with Joe Defranco, whether I was in a storage closet, underneath a freaking bridge, a multi-million-dollar facility. They didn't give a shit. And when I first kind of put it out there, like, hey, I got my own spot now, and then people heard it was a storage closet, there was a lot of rumblings of like, dude, I won't mention names, but many people that I had worked with were like, dude, that's not going to work. Like, the only other sports performance facilities in the world are a few of these multi-million-dollar facilities with the indoor turf, and you're gonna have a freaking closet and say you train athletes. And it, like, to your point, it didn't exist at the time, but I just thought, like, yeah, it's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I opened up shop, and I started. There was a couple people that I was training that came over and started training with me. Then a couple kids from my old high school, they started getting results. And then next thing long story short, with zero marketing, zero advertising, just word of mouth and what I call walking billboards. I had my first batch, I had like 50 t-shirts made. I gave them to all my clients, and them just wearing t-shirts to school that said DeFranco's training. It was generally like the most jacked kids in school were wearing these DeFranco's training shirts, so that the other, serious football players would say, hey, wait, what is that? Like, dude, you've gotten so much stronger over the past couple months. What the hell are you doing? And it just exploded from there. And that's how, like, then I think, and at this time, I I shared everything. YouTube didn't even exist, but I would put pictures on my website and explain what I'm doing with people. I wrote the West Side for Skinny Bastards article,
Yep.
and I shared so much. I think that's where then it opened up the floodgates of people thinking, like, dude, if that dude from New Jersey is like training all these pro athletes and shit out of a 500 square foot closet, shit, I guess I could do that. I'm going to start training people out of my garage. I'm going to start training people out of my basement. I'm going to start meeting people at the park. And that's, why I kind of say the godfather of the garage gym, because a lot of people built successful businesses. And to this day, uh, honestly, I'm not exaggerating. And this is something I'm most proud of. I don't say this to brag. I'm genuinely proud of the fact that once a day, every day for the past 28 plus years, I get at least one email, one message from someone saying, thank you. I never met you, but you changed my life. I had no money, but I had a passion for helping people and athletics. And now I have my own quote unquote sports performance facility out of my garage. And I don't have a big overhead. I get to do what I love. I make a good amount of money. And I would have never even known that you could do that if I didn't see your website and your early YouTube videos. So that's something I'm really proud of in this industry.
That's huge. And you think about the ripple effect of that. How many of these one-off coaches are training 10, 30, 100 individual clients multiplied over 28 years? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's crazy.
hundreds of thousands. I mean, your own reach is of that, but now their amplified reach, that's pretty fucking impactful, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so many of them, to give credit, because we have a business coaching for gym owners and stuff. And the coolest thing for me is to see how many of them took the business aspect even further than I did. And now they're sharing their growth, and I'm learning from them. These are kids that were in grade school when I was 10 years into my career that I'm now learning from. Because, listen, when I started, it was different. You didn't have to run Facebook ads and all the marketing shit and social media. I could learn from the younger guys, and now they could kind of give back and help me. And I've learned a lot from these guys who kind of credit me for their career. Now I learn from them, and it's very cool.
And so going back kind of from the beginning till now, if you start looking back over your career, do you recall the moment when you popped your head up and you said, holy fuck, like I've made it? Like, was there a moment in time that you can say when you finally realized this is a viable business that now has a future built into it? You're going to be able to take care of your family and live the life that you want to live while still doing this. Like, is there that moment in time that you realized I've done it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there was a time, one or two. I think the first one that gave me a little kind of inkling of like, this is growing into something The first out of state kid I remember, because again, it was no marketing. I just genuinely enjoy helping people. So when I grew out of the storage closet, my second gym, which was a 2,000 square foot warehouse in an industrial park, kind of like the first gym I could call my own. I wasn't sharing it with the health club. That's when, I think 2007, whatever the first year YouTube started,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know how to post videos. My ex-girlfriend at the time, or like a high school kid, would film a video because there's so much crazy shit going on, and impressive feats of strength and speed. My clients, the younger kids, would capture a video, and I never even went on my YouTube. Like, kids would upload stuff for me, and it's the YouTube I still have today. I haven't been posting as much, but Joe Defranco on YouTube, that was started by like a bunch of high school kids for me.
Awesome.
So it was more for them to show their friends at school, like, because none of them would believe this kid did a 50-inch box jump, or this kid trap bar deadlifted 600 pounds, whatever it may be. They wanted to brag to their friends at school. At the time, and now you look at what YouTube has become, you're not realizing, like, oh, people all over the world could see this. I'm just doing it so the kid could, brag, to his friends at school. But it was one summer, it's like summer of like 2007, I think, where this kid from Maryland showed up at the gym, or he made an appointment, scheduled everything. And when he showed up and I got to learn more about him, he told me he was from Maryland. And I'm like, well, what are you doing here? Because he was doing our full summer program, like 4 days a week. And he had a New Jersey address. I didn't realize the address he put was a hotel. He said, oh no, my parents okayed. I've been watching your videos. I wanted to train here for my senior year in high school. My parents are paying for me to stay at the hotel this summer. So I'm like, wait, you're in New Jersey just to train with me? And he's like, yeah. And he didn't think like anything of it. He's like, aren't there people from all over the world here? Like, this is the best gym I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And he didn't realize he was like the first one. And then that same summer, two dudes from England that played rugby that were in my Strong documentary, they sign up, and I'm like, whoa, now we have kids from out of state. We have people from out of the country coming to train. That's when it hit me. And then just ironically, that same year, random guy walks into my gym. I had no idea who he was. He was a independent filmmaker from New York City. That was the guy who ended up filming our Strong documentary. He was just a dude that stumbled upon my YouTube and was like, holy shit, this is really unique. I've never seen anything like it. I want to go learn more about this guy in this gym. He came to the gym, hung out. We bullshitted a couple times when he learned more about my backstory and he got to know some of the clients. He goes, you got yourself a hell of an inspirational documentary here. And then they started filming the documentary. It all just kind of happened at once. And that summer was like, oh shit, we're not just like the warehouse gym in New Jersey anymore. This is a real freaking business.
Yeah. And what year was that?
I think around 2007, if I remember correctly, into 2008.
Which was a whole nother world back then.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. And it doesn't, I mean, you and I sitting here, it's like, oh, it doesn't sound that long ago, but you start to think about how life has changed so many times.
Yeah, it's like almost 20 years. It's funny you say that, because in my brain, I remember parts of it like it was yesterday. It's no big deal. But then there is another part of me that when you think about how the world was, it was multiple different lifetimes ago of there was no Instagram, TikTok, YouTube was even new. That I remember. So he came to me because one of my videos had 50,000 views on it. And at the time,
wow,
that would be like I don't know, like 50 million views now, maybe. It was Mike Wadango doing the crazy box jump, which was an insane video. But yeah, it was like kind of viral video at that time, but much different world, to your point. No making money off of YouTube. It was just, we did it, to so kids could brag at school, and it helped us kind of. It was like one of the best marketing things I've ever done, but I can't take credit for it. It was total luck.
Well, yeah, I mean, as the CEO, you can take credit for everything.
Or I think, a good lesson there too is just, and I don't know if you found this, but I found this in other areas. The things I've done that were most successful, both financially and just results wise in the gym, I never did them because I thought they would make money. It wasn't like, oh, I got the $1 million idea. This is it. It's just funny how when you do things that are genuinely the right thing, like, hey, this high school kid is proud of what he's accomplishing. Let him put this video on YouTube so he could show his friends at school. That's literally my sole reason for starting a YouTube. And then it grew. That just kind of goodwill, I guess you could say, ended up getting me a documentary that went worldwide and brought a ton more business into the gym. And then it became like more of a global brand. And it was never the master plan. It was just helping people, training them, getting results, doing the right thing. And then good things started to happen, and business started to grow. And I feel like anytime I felt like, oh, I got a great idea, this is going to make a lot of money, when money's like the only object, at least for me, those things never worked as well as when I just genuinely help people and put good out there. Good shit seems to come back at you.
Absolutely. And that's what a lot of people miss is they always think about the rewards first and foremost,
Yep.
and it's not, right? Rewards is the byproduct of the results. We have to get results
Yep.
no matter what, regardless of getting paid. Like if you can't get people bigger, stronger, faster, leaner, more mobile, more agile, better athletes out of pain, if you can't do that, it doesn't fucking matter what bullshit you're selling. No matter
Yep.
what the price point is or the funnel you built or how tricky the Facebook ad campaign might be or all your, automations, all the stuff that we know about. If you don't get results, it doesn't matter. You just wasted a shit ton of time. You're going to be in the
Yep.
red actually after everything's said and done.
Yeah. And when you love the process of what you're doing, it's still hard work, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
that saying, when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. It's still work, but there is truth to that. Like I couldn't work consistent 12, 14, 16-hour days if I didn't genuinely love the majority of what I was doing. To your point earlier, if I was an accountant, I'm not starting my day at 7 a.m. and going till midnight or 1 a.m. some nights. Like it's 9 to 5, and the second that clock strikes 5, I'm out of there. But
Yeah.
when you love the process, it's funny. There's been times where, just having clients that I just genuinely enjoy working with. And then, even like my working with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon from the WWE for 14 years now, I obviously they pay me to train with them, but like I genuinely enjoy helping them and training them. We've been together so long. I've gotten to know their families. Sometimes when I get paid, I get the check in the mail each month. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I get paid to do that. But that's when you found the right career, when you almost forget, like, oh yeah, this is my job. I'm a professional at this. I get paid to do this. There's certain things, and it goes back to like that's something I would do for free. If money was no object, I enjoy it that much. I do it for free. But when you're living your passion, you could work longer, harder. You'll be better at what you do. You get better results in this industry, and then the money starts to come.
Yeah. That's a good point. I want to take a second and talk about that. Get your insight on this. Because you're so high profile and because of what you do, you have a skill set in a very specific area. And I say it's like you're a mechanic or like you're an accountant. What challenges do you see and what do you coach your coaches on when it comes down to getting paid for your profession and your skill set? Now, a lot of people like, oh, can I just ask you a question? I say they want me to do their homework for them. They want me to build their entire program, answer all their questions, review their blood work, like give them the supplementation program, tell them how to train, all for free.
Yep.
And then they act as if like I'm an asshole because I don't have 50 minutes to answer every one of their questions, not realizing like this is my career. I'm happy to be a friendly guy. And it's very hard because you're high profile. You go to the grocery store, people are like, holy fuck, that's Joe Defranco. Or you go to a family party or friends
Uh,
of friends, right? Everybody knows you, knows what you do. How do you personally deal with that? And how do you teach your coaches to deal with that? And what kind of structures and barriers, boundaries have you even put those in place? How do you navigate that?
Honestly, that's a great question, and I am in the process of getting better at it because that is one of my biggest challenges to date. Like literally on a daily basis, and I'm not, you know, I'm not saying I'm the freaking greatest coach in the world, but every day I could show you my phone right now. The biggest challenge when you genuinely do, like, I wish I could help everyone, but I have a family. It ain't cheap to live here. I need to pay my bills and I have paying clients, but every day, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, at least a dozen of those text messages that are, hey, real quick, can you look at my blood work? Hey, my son just started playing basketball. Can you send him a program? And I'm like, some of the things are like, dude, you're asking me to, again, do your homework for you. And that homework is going to take me 3-4 hours. Like, you just want
Yep.
me to send it to you? Some of and this is when I feel bad and I'm still working on it. Yes, there are some things that legitimately I could help out or answer in 5 minutes. But what they don't understand is when you have 8 text messages from 8 different people with questions that only take 5 minutes, dude, now that's an hour of my day, and I'm already overbooked. Like, that's another problem I have. Like, I'm always overbooked. I got to work on that. So yeah, it's 5 minutes, but if I answer your question, I got to answer everyone else's question too. And now it might be only 5 minutes for you, but that's an hour out of my day. And now I'm not going to get to the people who are actually paying me and had the decency and respect to hire me. Like, I got to get their shit done first. So I I wish I had the answer, but what I will say is what we are working on now is like, I used to give every one of my clients my cell phone number, and it was just no boundaries, 24/7. You text me 3 in the morning, I'll get back to you. I don't do that anymore. It's you have to earn my respect and trust first. So a Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, we've been working together 14 years. They have my cell number. They could text me whenever they want. I get right back to them. And not just because they're a high profile, even if they weren't famous, that type of client, if you're with me for X number of years and I know you put the work in on your end as well, I'm happy to help you out on the side. And so now I have more of like a all-inclusive kind of package where it's not just training sessions, it's for a monthly fee. You get kind of the VIP service where I'm training, I'm gonna do your programming if you go on vacation. If you have a question, you could text me. There's levels to our services. And the basic service of coming to the gym and training with us, which is awesome, that doesn't get you my cell phone and 24/7 access to me. Like, and we explain that. I'm sorry, it's a business. We have a lot of clients, and I explain exactly what I just said to you. You know, I I know you might want to text me here and there, and I'm happy to help when I can. But if I gave everyone that access, you got to realize I'd be getting 20 of those a day, and now I can't. I I might be getting that from other people, so it's going to take away from me training you when you have an appointment. So we've set the boundaries that way, but I'd be lying if I told you I had it down to an exact science, and my phone doesn't still go off all day with people asking for free advice. The one thing I have done which has helped, if it is someone, there's certain people that you give that access to. but the ones that you know are just the takers. They just want free stuff. They'll never invest in any of your products or services. One thing I started doing, which kind of weans out those types, you in your world of like nutrition and dieting, if someone said, "Hey, can you write me out a diet, or can you write my son a diet?" First, I'll always throw it back on them and say, "Listen, I don't know anything about your diet, what you're currently eating, so no, I can't. But if you write down every single thing you eat over the course of the next week and send that to me, I'll look it over for you and I'll give you some advice." 0% of the people that I've told that to ever, took the time to write all the stuff down, because those were the types that just want to take. And if they follow up and be like, "Hey man, I'd love to get that diet," then I could throw it back on them and say, "Listen, if you couldn't take the time to just write down what you ate for a week, you're expecting me to take the time to write you out a diet? What makes me think you're actually even going to follow it? This is what I do for a living. I'm a professional. My time is valuable. If you couldn't invest some time into giving me the information I need, I'm not going to invest the time into something for you, because it's going to be half-assed anyway, because now I'm just writing shit on a piece of paper. I don't know what your current diet is." And,
Yep.
Phil, same thing with training. If someone says, "Write me a workout." All right, well, write me down exactly what you've done the past week, weights, everything, so I get a little better understanding of where you're at. And those takers won't do that, so then they'll just move on.
Yeah, no, it's such a good point. They're deferring their responsibility to you, to
Yeah.
an outside source. Like, oh, Joe will do it all for me. He'll tell me exactly what to do. But they won't follow it anyway.
Those are the ones that will never follow it anyway. And I've learned that. I've learned it the hard way, because I used to be the guy to send the workout, to send the diet. And then you see the person a month later, "Hey, how's the training going?" "Oh, I haven't had a chance to get to it." And I'm like, "Dude, I took freaking, an hour out of my day. I did it for free. And you just forgot about it." So if it's not that important to you, it's not that important to me anymore. If it's that important, you'll hire me. I do this for a living, and you can make an appointment like everyone else.
And that's the thing, brother. It's not as if they don't know how to hire you,
Right?
right? It's like, so they're going around the cash register trying to go directly to you. They're taking a gallon of milk off the shelf and they're trying to walk out of the store with it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
hey,
then that's what's so hard about our industry. And then if you don't respond to the text, or you don't give them the free diet or workout, they'll go tell all their friends we're the assholes. "Oh, Dolce thinks he's big time now. He didn't even respond to my text." And it's like, do you get paid when you go to work? Do you get a paycheck each
yeah.
week? Like, God forbid your boss didn't pay you this year. Would you be pissed? Like, yeah, but you want us to do our job for free, and if we don't, you're mad at us. It's a very weird thing. I've been trying to figure it out forever. I was talking to Calvin, the head coach at my private gym, because we had some people walk into the gym, and same thing, like, just want to kind of walk in and like, "Yeah, can I just try it out?" Just like jump it. And it's I don't know if it's because we go to work in a t-shirt and shorts, like we're not in a suit and tie, if it's not taken as serious or something, but it doesn't happen as much in other professions as I feel it does in our profession.
Yeah, no, it's troubling because it's hard. And like, I get anxiety a lot of times,
Me too.
right? And
Because
people
you
don't
feel
get,
bad, a little bit, which we shouldn't.
no, it's like, motherfucker, you should feel bad for asking me to fucking do your taxes for you while I'm sitting in the sauna,
Yeah.
right? I'm paying to be here, trying to get my therapy in, and I got to fucking figure out why your thyroid isn't functioning optimally. Are you fucking kidding me, right? The fuck?
So true.
There's all that. I know. I appreciate. I think we're in the same. Like, you're at the same point. It's like, man, it's an issue we deal with. How do you deal with it? Because you're a good guy. I want to help everybody. We can't. And like, you don't want to be like, hey, dude, fuck you. Go, like, fuck you. Pay me.
Yeah, I
Can't quite
know.
say
It's so
that.
hard.
But it's like, man. And one thing I did And people listening, and maybe, they might think I'm an asshole for doing it. People like, on your Instagram, I'm sure your DMs are blown. Hey, Joe, can you look at this? Say, and I'll send them like, hey, happy to. And I'll send them a link to a Calendly link. It's a 15-minute phone call for $50, which is inexpensive for a guy like you or a guy like me, respectfully. $50 for a 15-minute fucking consultation with a world-class coach. Ask me 3 questions, fill them out on the form, and you're in. Like,
Yeah.
so then it's like, hey, if you're serious, like, you want to put a little skin in the game, I'll take 15 minutes, answer your fucking questions. I'll go above and beyond. You probably won't need me to write anything for you. And then if you want, and then maybe, and it's funny because a lot of my private clients, we hit it off. They're like, damn, I can actually help you. Like, oh, okay. You got some finance too. You respect what I do. We can actually work together. And here's the way, because I have a similar to you, same thing, VIP, private client, kind of a one-off.
I love that, the like a fifth, because now it's affordable for you don't have to make millions of dollars to work with this world-class coach. Like, you could, I don't care who you are, you could afford $50, especially if it's that important to you. You have some health related issue or something with, training related, and you could get that question answered for $50. Shit. I love that. That's actually a great idea. And there is something, we know this, but I think people need to be reminded, having skin in the game matters. Even at $50, not a ton, but for that person that just wants everything for free, now they're going to be more likely to do the thing you say anyway. I used to tell this story on my podcast. Dr. Tom Bilella, the guru,
Yep.
RIP, God rest his soul. He was the best, but I was close. He's one of my best friends. Both me and Ashley, my wife, go to him, and he charged us. And he used to love telling everyone when we were done with our appointment that he was charging us. Like, this is one of my best friends right here. But I charge, he'd joke around, say, charge him double, whatever. But he would be like, I'm charging you because I want you to have skin in the game. Even you knowing this is what you do for a living and you're kind of into this, yes, but still, and he's right. There's something different about, paying a couple $100 to see him. My wife would say it all the time, like, I'm going to do exactly what he said. Like, that wasn't cheap. And it really did. It worked. And it's why I love him. He was more blunt than I am sometimes, but he was right. That was 20 years ago, but he was like the first person to really kind of hammer that in my head. When people have skin in the game, they're going to be more likely to do what you say anyway. So don't be afraid to charge people. And, it was a great example that my best friend charged me to go to him every month.
Fucking, I love that. And he's spot on. So he figured this out before we did.
Yeah, he was very good businessman years and years ago.
Yeah. All right. So now I want to jump back a little bit into longevity. And I want to hear more about your 12 longevity laws of training. And I love the way you break this stuff down. So give us an overview of what the 12 longevity laws of training are. And at the end, we're going to point everybody more towards your product where they can go learn more. But kind of give us the overview here.
All right, I'll try to run through them. These are, so the thing with, when we talk about longevity training, basically where my brain goes is basically we want to at least maintain or ultimately improve all the areas that naturally decline with age, right? We lose muscle, strength, power, speed. So how do we maintain those things? Or even it certainly can get stronger, pack on muscle as we age, but without breaking our body down. So first and foremost, and just as like an overview, the one thing that I always say with regards to the most underrated metric for me as far as what a good program is as we get older. I think this is so underrated. If you guys don't learn anything else from this talk, always remember this, especially if you're 35 or older, how you feel and function outside of the gym for the 23 hours a day we're not in the gym, that determines how good or bad your program is. If your lifts are going up in the gym, but you can't tie your shoes in the morning and get your knees are cranky, you can't walk up and down stairs, you can't play with your kids because you're always sore and hurting from your workout, to me, that's not a good program. Again, barring we're not a pro athlete, we're not training for something extreme. If we're just training for life and health, how you feel and function outside of the gym is the single best metric. Everything you do in the gym should improve your daily life, not take away from it. And it sounds, like no shit, but when I think back of my training in my 20s, my training totally took away from my day-to-day. You hit legs and you can't walk for 4 days after, right? That's just how it was. You barbell benched and then your shoulder freaking killed you for 3 days. Like it was just natural. Like, oh yeah, we work out and then our body hurts like hell and feels like shit. In real life, where you're the jacked meathead who can't even help his buddy move his couch from one side of the room to the other because your back is sore from deadlifting. I don't want to be that guy anymore. I want to be the guy that's like, oh shit, he's 50. He's in freaking good shape. He could still do this. He could still do that. So that's where like I came up with a list of things that will help you train to feel and function better outside of the gym as well. So number one is, if it hurts, don't do it. Kind of jumping on what I just said.
Yep.
That mentality of doing the set of barbell bench and then getting up off the bench and be like, oh man, my shoulder, that freaking kills. And then throwing another 45 on the bar and just doing it anyway. That's so freaking stupid. It's ridiculous, but we've all done it. But if you're training for longevity, rule number one, if it hurts, don't do it. Because rule number two is there are no mandatory exercises. Unless you are an Olympic weightlifter or a power lifter, we don't have to do anything. If straight bar deadlifting kills my low back, deadlift with a trap bar, deadlift with a kettlebell. Don't deadlift at all. Do a 45-degree back extension on a machine. It's much safer. You're working the same muscles. Like, there's no mandatory exercises unless you are a pro athlete or, again, an Olympic weightlifter or a power lifter. There's always a substitution. Always a substitution. Barbell bench hurts, do weighted push-ups. If find what is best for your body type, which I don't think we talk about that enough. Our anthropometry, we all have different proportions. If you have short little T-Rex arms, deadlifting with a straight bar from the floor is never going to be great for you. You're not going to be able to set up properly. That's why all the best deadlifters in the world generally have long arms and big hands. They could set up properly. It's a shorter range of motion, and it's a great exercise for them. Now, those same guys, when they barbell bench, it kills their freaking shoulders. Now the long arms work against them. So know your body type, know your current level of strength, mobility, and skill, and then choose the right exercises that fit your body. The specific exercise isn't the important thing. It's how your body adapts to the exercise. So if a barbell bench hurts, pick another horizontal press that you'll get the same adaptation of, horizontal pressing, strength and power in the pecs, the delts, etc. So I spend more time on those two because those are the most important ones in my eyes. Then number three, know that there's more than one way to progress. You don't always have to just add more weight to the bar. Improving your technique is a form of progression. Use the same weight, but get better technique. I love, for lower body exercises, as I've gotten older, increasing the range of motion instead of just always trying to go heavier. So say on a Bulgarian split squat, instead of trying to just use more weight, that's great. But if you're getting to that point where now your technique's starting to go to shit a bit, stick with the same weight for a while, but maybe you have your front foot on a 10-pound plate or a 25-pound plate. So now you just increase the range of motion an inch and a half. Now, if I could do a Bulgarian split squat with an extra inch range of motion with the same weight, that's a great progression, right? And now I'm improving my mobility. It's easier on my joints because I'm not just loading. So know that there's more than one way to progress. And that could be a whole nother podcast. We could go over all those progressions, but it's not just always adding more weight to the bar. You could do more reps, more range of motion, better technique, slow down the tempo, et cetera, et cetera. Number 4, never skip your warm up. I don't give a shit how busy you are. I've had days where I warmed up and then I'm more likely to skip my workout than my warm up because it's always the day you freaking are rushed and you go, oh, I don't have time. You jump in your workout, you freaking get hurt. Now you're on the shelf for 6 weeks or 6 months.
That's this guy all the fucking time.
Yeah, it never fails. It never. So now I'm like, all right, I only got 15 minutes. I'll warm up and get the mobility in. And if I have time, maybe I'll do one exercise as opposed to I'll skip my whole warm up and try to squeeze my workout in. Yep. It has saved me because you will get hurt eventually. Never fails. So number 5, I like, as a general rule, doing twice as much back work compared to front work. So we always say to our general pop clients, look, this is actually a great for athletes too, for different reasons. Look at yourself in the mirror. All the show muscles people love to train, our pecs, our biceps, our abs. Yeah, it's go for it. I'm not saying don't train them, but way more important, I like to get more volume in for the upper back, low back, glutes, the entire posterior chain is going to do more for you health and longevity wise. So if you look at our warm-ups, it's a lot of volume of like band pull aparts, face pulls, iso hold YWTs, glute activation drills, all the posterior musculature that just goes to shit when we sit and stare at our phone or computer all day long. So about twice as, you don't have to freaking, get the calculator and the protractor out, but about twice as much volume for the back compared to the front. Number 6, as I've gotten older, I've moved my main lift to the middle or end of my workout. That's an old John Meadows trick. I know I never followed a ton of his content, but I met him once. It's a super nice guy, very smart, and definitely more bodybuilding approach maybe than a lot of my previous content. But I love how he and many other bodybuilders do that. You get a pump first. You do your banded leg curls and your quad activation stuff first, and then you squat, or you do a whole bunch of upper back accessory work, and then you do your bench pressing. Your joints will feel so much better if you shift that main lift to the middle or the end of your workout. Once you have a sweat cracked, you got a good pump. When you have a pump, your joints are more protected. You have a little more stability around the knees, the shoulders. It'll make a world of difference. So check your ego. You might have to go a little bit lighter in the beginning, but the cool thing is your work capacity will increase, and then eventually you'll be handling the same weights at the end of the workout that you were doing at the beginning of the workout, and that's when you're making real progress. So we call like a reverse workout order, whatever you want to call it, really makes a big difference. Where are we? Number 7. I'm not saying don't train hard, but I reserve training to failure for the accessory type of exercises, the isolation type movements. I like to leave 1 to 2 reps in the tank on the main lifts, and then go to failure on your tricep push downs, your cable curls, your calf raises. That's where I think we could save a lot of injuries. A lot of people just going way too heavy, way too many forced reps and all that bullshit. And now we know, even the science-based guys, forced reps and all that, you're not packing on any more muscle. You're just creating a whole lot of muscle damage, which actually makes it harder to recover from, and you could take away from your hypertrophy gains. So what I found was train hard, 1 to 2 reps in the tank with like pristine technique on the big lifts, and then you could go to failure on the safer, more accessory type lifts. Speaking of that, number 8, when we talk about our main lifts, replace the straight barbell. Listen, I'm a meathead. I love the barbell. I freaking grew up on it. The number one piece of equipment in every one of my gyms was a squat rack and a barbell. But as you get older, going back to number 2, there are no mandatory exercises. You don't need to straight bar squat, straight bar deadlift, straight bar bench. Your joints will thank you if you go to a neutral bar bench or dumbbells or push-ups. Squatting, a lot of people don't have the shoulder mobility, but they force themselves to use the straight bar, and then their technique is all screwed up. They end up injuring their low back or their knees when they could just do a goblet squat or invest in a safety bar so you don't have to worry about your shoulder mobility if it's lacking or if you have an injury. Same thing with the deadlift I spoke about. Trap bar, kettlebell, or just replace the exercise. If you love the barbell, sprinkle it in. Do a 4-6 week cycle, but then switch that out with specialty bars or other exercises. Your joints will thank you by doing that. Then coming down the home stretch, number 9, as I've gotten older, my volume has dropped tremendously. I am a quality over quantity guy. Lower volume, higher quality will pay bigger dividends as we age. Again, not saying you don't work hard, but I always err on the side of less. There's no rule saying we have to do 3 sets of everything. If you're already warmed up, 1 or 2 hard sets is probably just as good for most people, especially the 40+ crowd, than 3. Again, you're going to get that stimulus without excessive damage. You'll recover a little bit faster and be better for your next workout. So I like to favor lower volume over higher volume. Also, number 10, I'm now favoring more relative strength over absolute strength. So instead of obsessing over like my bench numbers and my squat numbers, I love weighted push-ups, different weighted push-up records, chin-up records, dips, any Bulgarian split squats. Your body weight kind of plays a role there. Those types of things, and this ties into the whole Dolce brand, why I love relative strength over absolute strength. It naturally ties in your diet and your nutrition. If I think I'm packing on all muscle because my bench press increased 20 pounds, but my chin up, I went from doing 20 chin ups to 14. I probably packed on some extra pounds of shit. So it keeps you honest in the kitchen, which I love. I'm still for, barbells, dumbbells, great. But my big indicators, I have different like pull-up records, push-up records, dip records. If my body weight movements aren't staying the same or getting better, I know I'm being a fat bastard and I'm eating a little bit too much and I got to clean that up. So I'm not increasing my bench at the expense of a push-up or a chin-up anymore. I think that'll have one of the biggest impacts on your health and your physique if you shine more of a spotlight on those relative strength exercises and body weight type movements. You could still add weight to. I'm not saying you just do body weight push-ups. If you're strong, add a weight vest, load them up, do weighted chin-ups if you can, but your body weight still plays a factor in there, which is huge. And then the last 2, this is more specific programming. I make sure to keep unilateral exercises present year round. I think not enough people program single arm benching, rowing, Bulgarian split squats, lunges. Like as you get older, for balance and mobility and just function and symmetry, and not like from a bodybuilding standpoint symmetry, just for body and preventing injuries because one side is stronger than the other. Man, unilateral exercises are phenomenal. I always make sure I have at least one, lower body unilateral exercise in my lower body training, and 1 to 2 a push and a pull at some point during the course of the week for the upper body, for just to remain to reduce my chances of imbalances, and to shine a spotlight if I do have one arm that is way weaker than the
Yeah.
other. Quick sidebar on that. If you I have a different approach to overcoming imbalances. If you have one arm that's weaker, most people will tell you, say you're doing a single arm dumbbell floor press. If my left arm is a decent amount weaker than my right, instead of doing my left arm first and then saying, well, you don't want your strong arm to keep getting stronger, you'll never overcome the imbalance, so do the weak arm first and then just match that with the strong arm. I like to do the strong arm first and then match that with the weak arm via rest pause technique. So now your weak arm has to catch up to your strong arm instead of your strong side being held back by your weak side, right? I don't want to create balance by becoming weaker. I want to create balance by becoming stronger. So
Love that.
yeah, that's a good little trick for any of you with imbalances to overcome them, but overcome them while you're actually getting stronger.
Yep.
And
So, keep
yeah,
going. Give me 1 second. I got somebody banging at the door here. Sorry about that. FedEx guy with my certified Piedmontese delivery. So that's okay.
you can't miss that.
No. So go ahead. Sorry. That's awesome, man. I love that imbalance issue. That's such a great point.
Yeah, that one has made a huge difference for me. Instead of making my strong side weaker, I was, it's like one of those things that just hit me one day, and it's made a big difference. And then finally, I end my list as someone who had major shoulder surgery a few years ago, and my other shoulder from old football injuries and shit, I have to have the same surgery. I've been putting it off, but I got another shoulder surgery coming up, unfortunately, shortly. I say make push-ups great again, because I feel like push-ups are like synonymous when you first start working out. You do push-ups and then you quote unquote graduate to bench pressing and lifting weights. And it's just got this stigma of being like the beginner exercise. Yeah. And since having my shoulder surgery and being more in tune with shoulder health, and not to get all nerdy, but you hear about the scapulohumeral rhythm that the PTs talk about, where your shoulder blade and glenohumeral joint are supposed to move in conjunction with each other. There is a natural rhythm that does not happen when we're pinned to a bench press. So push-ups are awesome for shoulder health. For one, if you replace one of your bench press variations, I'm not saying don't ever bench, but instead of doing 3-4 different bench press variations, I always, where I might have done a barbell or a dumbbell bench variation in the past, I always make sure one of my push variations each week is a push-up variation. And again, don't be afraid to load it up if you're strong. I've done 120 pounds on my back. Like, load it up if you're strong. Make it as hard or easy as you want, but do more push-ups. Your shoulders will thank you. Get rid of the stigma that, oh, I've been training 10 years or 20 years. I graduated from push-ups. No, bring them back. Just do more advanced variations if you need be. Replace one of your bench press variations with push-ups, and your shoulders will thank you.
Yeah, that last point is powerful. How many elite athletes have you seen fall into a detrained state with regards to body mechanics? They can't do body weight squats. They can't maybe lunge or split squat. They can't do push-ups or dead hang chin-ups. Really good maybe on a power clean or a back squat, so they can express strength, absolutely, but their relative strength is so week. And we would run a test, which is a little bro in a way, but it was more to highlight a point, and we would call it the hundreds. And I would say, listen, if you can't do 100 nonstop body weight squats with good form relative to your limb length, you have no business loading. We have to reteach you body mechanics first. And we'd say same thing with 100 push-ups, 20 dead hang chin-ups. Chin-ups a little harder, but
Yeah,
let those be the first strength standard, because now, number one, we're limiting injury. Nobody's going to get hurt doing 100 push-ups. They're going to fail at 30,
yep,
right? But now if they want to bench 315, fuck, man, shoulder, pec, all sorts of pain. Even like with 225, how many dudes do you know who got hurt with 225, which is kind of a high school weight for the high school kids. Most of them eventually, if they're doing it, can get there. So anyway, it's like I love that what you said there for most people listening, because the average person thinks, oh yeah, I graduated from body weight squats or push. I
yeah,
don't have to do that anymore because now I can use a barbell. It's like, no, buddy, you're actually manifesting imbalances and possibly injury as a result of, especially
absolutely.
what you said earlier, there's no mandatory exercises. You're not a power lifter. You're not going to go into a three lift meet here, or, two lift meet as an Olympic lifter. Like, fucking cares.
Yeah, and who better to ask? Not even hating on powerlifters, but they'll be the first ones to tell you how, I hate the term functional, but look at any elite level powerlifter and ask them how they feel to get to that level, that elite level of benching and squatting and deadlifting a massive amount of weight. But then, to your point, ask them to do some body weight squats. Ask them to do a Bulgarian split squat. Ask them to walk up and down stairs. Ask them to do 50 good push-ups. Most of them can't, right? They're so good and efficient at just that sagittal plane brace, one heavy rep. But when it comes to body weight exercises, unilateral exercises, getting out of the sagittal plane and kind of living three-dimensionally in life, joints hurt, everything hurts. It's all the opposite of what we want when we talk about longevity based training. And it's not, listen, if you compete in powerlifting for that short period of time that you are competing, great, you do what you got to do to get to the high level. But as we already talked about, doing anything at a very high level we know isn't healthy, and powerlifting is no exception. Just like UFC, MMA, NFL, high level powerlifter, not healthy for your joints or how your body is meant to function in the real world. It's good for three things: benching, squatting, and deadlifting. That's it.
That's it. And guys, listen up. It's not good for getting chicks,
No,
right?
or making money.
No, Jesus. The things we thought would do for us in our teens and 20s, it did the opposite. It made us broke and surrounded by dudes all day.
No girl cares what your total is. Like literally zero.
Total bank account, maybe.
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah.
Right. All right. So now, and I think you might have kind of covered this in a way, but let's get a little bit more reflective here. Looking back, what lesson, I'll say, well, we'll say lesson in all things, whether training yourself, business, being a coach, maybe it's even kind of husband, family man. What lesson have you learned now at this stage of your career that you really do wish you had learned sooner and were able to implement sooner into your life in whatever way you want to take that?
Life lesson I wish I would have implemented. You know what? That's a good question. I think I don't know if this answers it, but it's something that I've been thinking a lot more about recently, especially since having kids and how fast they grow up, is being more mindful and present. And I was, I'm very passionate about my career, and we talked about how much I love training and helping people and the gym, all that stuff. And after having kids and realizing what's really, really important, family and health and your children and being there for them and watching them grow up, there's so many things that I'm glad I caught it early enough, I would say. But man, there were times where I'm just so engrossed on work and the next thing, and you accomplish one thing, and what's the next gym? You know, I had 5 different gyms over the course of the years. It was always like, oh, we grew now. What's the next gym? What's the next ebook to put out? What's the next program? What's the next client I want to train? And it's just the next thing and next thing and next thing as your wife and kids and your personal life. Time ain't standing still for them, and you blink and you come home and like your kids are running to the door when I'm like this literally happened where I came home one day and I'm like, wait, they're walking, not like they were crawling to the door. I thought yesterday, and then my wife would be like, no, they're wobbling around, but they've been running around now, and I'm like, holy shit, like. And maybe I saw it, but my brain was thinking about work instead of where it should have been. And so now I'm much more present and both in work and out. So I still work a lot of hours, but I've set my business up where at least my schedule, I have a little more freedom in my schedule. It's still a lot of hours, but
Yeah.
I could move things around, work from home a lot. And when when I'm with my family, I am with my family. Like I'm not on my phone. If we're going out to dinner, I'm not just texting. Like now it's present. If it's family time, it's family time. Put the phone away, focus on this. If it's work time, it's work time, and don't bother me either unless it's an emergency. And I just being more present and mindful, like appreciating things in the moment rather than always looking to the next thing and then looking back and realizing you were physically there for a lot of things, but you weren't present and mindful, and you kind of missed them. I'm much more conscious of that now, and still trying to get better at it, to be honest, because it's just I, I'm I I'm a workaholic. Like it's just in my blood. I'm always doing something busy, and that's all great. But I, my kids going into high school, like I blinked and my girls are going into high school next year, and it's just like it's going too fast. So being mindful and being present is big for me right now.
Yeah, and for those listening, Joe is a girl dad. He's got two little,
Yes.
two. I say little because I picture your girls as little, but they're young ladies, right? Geez, they're going into high school.
13,
So,
freaking almost taller than I have twins. 5'9", 5'8", like almost taller than me. It's just going into high school next year. It's freaking crazy. But yeah, shout out to all the girl dads out
all the
there.
girl dads, baby. Bet. I mean, for guys like us, having daughters is the best thing ever. I remember when, our first Victoria, our first daughter were, born, cool daughter, and then Brandy was pregnant the second time, and you're waiting to hear is it a boy or a girl? And I'm thinking like, oh, it's of course it's going to be a boy.
Yep.
And then as soon as like we got the word, it's going to be a girl, I was like, thank God. And it was weird because it was I was like, wow, thank God. Unconsciously, it wasn't a choice. I was so happy. I was like, wow, that's weird. And I was like, oh wait, I'm surrounded by dudes. I live in this testosterone filled male agrocentric. I am such a better man at home with my wife and my daughter, now my daughters, and I was able to unlock a completely different version of myself that I needed to get in touch with. So like I'm daddy, and it's not to be critical of any of the guys who have sons out there. That's special in and of itself. But for me as a girl dad to have only girls at home makes me a completely different person than I was first associating as
Yeah.
who I was, right? It completely unlocked this part of me I didn't know was there.
I totally agree, and it's crazy. I'll be the I've told my daughters this. Or like I always thought I wanted a son, and obviously if we had sons, it'd be freaking amazing as well.
Sure.
But just full transparency, in my brain I always thought the same thing. Like we're gonna have 2 kids up because my whole family was boys and girls. I have a sister, my cousins all girl then boy. So it was just always, yeah, when I have kids, I'll have a boy and a girl. And then we found out we were having twins first, but not the sex of the baby. So then just inherently, I was like, oh, we're going to have a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to the doctor appointment that we weren't expecting to find out the sex of the baby, but the way that they were positioned. I'm in Connecticut training Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I get a call from my wife, girlfriend at the time, as I'm driving home. She goes, "Pull over." I go, "Is everything okay?" She's like, "Yeah, but just pull over." And I'm like, "Oh shit." I pull over, and she goes, "So I know you wanted to be there for the appointment where we found out the sex of the babies, but the doctor, it was there for them to see. So I got the news, and I'm like, so now I'm like, oh wait, did you tell me to pull over because we're having two boys?" Because at this point I'm thinking, like, I want a boy, and she tells me we're having two girls. I thought she was kidding, and I got mad. I was like, "Don't fuck with me. Like, don't, like, if it's a boy and a girl or two boys, tell me, because this isn't funny. Like, I'm not having two girls." And I legit got angry. She assured me like it wasn't a joke. Then I felt kind of bad because I'm like, "Oh my God, these are my kids." But I literally just yelled, yelled at my girlfriend, like, for telling me we're having girls. And fast forward to today though, and I couldn't picture my life any different. And to the point, your point, just subconsciously, I have a lot of clients and friends that are having kids. And when they tell me that they're having a kid, now, if they don't know the sex, if they just, "Hey, my wife's pregnant, we're due whenever," I'll just, when I refer to the kid, I always say she. Like, "Oh, what are you going to name her? What, oh, did you buy any clothes for her yet?" And then they'll be like, I don't know if I'm having a boy or a girl, but my brain just goes to girl dad stuff now. And I couldn't picture my life any other way. It's challenging, but it's also the best thing ever. And to your point, I think maybe certain things were meant to be when you're in the environment that we grew up in and still are in many ways, that maybe someone was helping us out with that balance a little bit, you know?
I think so. Like I think that it's a blessing and a gift. All children are gay. All children are great. Yes, there's something special, especially about guys like us.
Yeah, but it's so funny. And so many like meathead friends of mine, athletes, have girls. Speaking of Triple H, as manly as you get, right?
Yep.
Three daughters,
God
all
bless him.
three daughters. So, Smitty, Smitty, who I do are my CPPS certification with, he's got twins and girl dad daughters. It's just so many dudes in our world have my head coach Calvin at my gym just had his first baby daughter. It's funny how it works out.
Good. And on that, briefly, did you train your daughters? And what are your thoughts on training youth? Like, let that from early, let's say, 3, 4 years old, developmentally, all the way through like entry level high school age or that prepubescent stage. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you do any of that? I mean, because your girls are
Yes,
in that mix.
I have a lot of thoughts on it, and I think it is mandatory. Like, if especially if they want to be athletes,
Yep.
what most parents don't, there's still that stigma about young kids in training. We're not, I'm not talking about put a freaking max effort barbell on their back, but strength training could be shit. Crawling is strength training. You're holding your
Yeah.
body weight up, you're crawling, your body weight squats. Um, and you want, you want to definitely want to make it fun once they start like a kind of a formalized training program. I actually have a really good YouTube video on that of me training my girls when they were like 6 or 7 for the first time in our basement, and I do a voiceover talking about, it has to be fun, you got to keep it brief, but point being, kids start sports, or like kids are playing soccer 6, 7 years
Yeah.
old, gymnastics maybe even earlier than that. What most parents need to know and realize is the physical demands placed on your kid's body during that sport, whether it's soccer, gymnastics, jujitsu, whatever, is way greater than the weight room. So if you send your son out to play Pop Warner football, or your daughter to go play soccer without strength training or having some kind of physical training, you're actually doing them a disservice and increasing their chances of getting injured, because sprinting alone, the forces on our body, right? 3-4 times greater, 3 or 4 times our body weight with each foot strike. So I see some of these highlights of like these youth Pop Warner football games, kids getting blasted, tackled, and like they're in a car accident. You'll let them do that, but you're scared to have them do some dumbbell curls or do some body weight squats. Like, it's insane. And now we know doing it properly, it actually helps bone growth and development. It's not the whole it's going to stunt your growth. All that is complete bullshit. It's actually very helpful and the safest thing you can do if your kids are going to play sports as well.
I love it, man. Do you have a program yet, ebook yet for this?
We're working on it. That's the next thing I want to I have some great, posts and YouTube clips, but I want to develop like a youth development course, because the information that's out there, I think, is bad, and that's why it gets a bad rap. You see a 7-year-old kid max effort deadlifting, which even I don't agree with. Like, I have a much more conservative approach with younger kids like that, and I think you got to make it. You want to. The big thing is with the younger kids, it can't be too easy because they're going to be bored and they don't have long attention spans.
Yep.
But if you make it too hard and strict, then they're just going to get frustrated. If you're giving them exercises and things they can't do, then it just becomes frustrating and they're going to dread, oh, daddy's trying to drag me to the gym. You have to give them exercises that are just the perfect amount of challenge, that they're engaged, they experience some level of success, and then you make that challenge a little bit harder and they experience more success. That's how you make training addictive in a good way for a young kid. We're like, oh, I want to go to the gym with daddy. We're gonna my girl is now at 13. Go in the garage. I wrote their workouts. I showed them the exercises. They go in the garage and do it themselves now. They enjoy it. And it's great because I didn't push them. They came to my gym sporadically here and there as young kids. I really went the extra mile to make it as fun and engaging as possible. Then, soccer season came, and again, they're 7, 8 years old, so they didn't do much. Then they got back into it a little bit, and it was kind of on and off from 7 to 12. And then this year, but on their own, daddy, can you write me up a workout? I want to start training for next soccer season. And I was like, that's all I ever wanted, is for them to want to do it. I always said everyone thought I'd be like the dad to, push it on them. I said, I want to make it fun. And they see me and my wife trains every morning as well. They see it's just part of our lifestyle. And, with kids, they're always watching. It's one thing to say something, but they're watching what we actually do. And I think just seeing us and then having a couple really good experiences when they were young, I let them bring their friends with them. It was a fun experience. Now they go in the gym and they're only 13, but it's like more serious, progressive overload, adding a little more weight, and they do it on their own now. And that was like, man, I'm so grateful for that. That was my ultimate goal, is for them to want to work out. And that's where we are right now. Hopefully they continue doing it.
It's awesome. And you've modeled the behavior, your wife and yourself, with the way you live your lives in front of your girls. And that's huge. And a lot of parents miss that. They tell their kids one thing,
Yeah.
don't eat that, don't do that. And then the parent sits on the couch drinking beer or wine, eating potato chips and pizza, right? Duh. So you've already facilitated that. And I think something that's also important is you don't force it on them, making it a punishment. You make
Yes.
it fun, so then they want to go do it. And so many parents live vicariously through their children to make up for the mistakes that they made in their life, right? Because they want little Johnny to be the best wrestler or football player ever, and they hammer it into Johnny. He's like, fuck you, dude. Even if he's good at it and he used to love it, Now he's just sick of it because it's not fun anymore. So many parents, and we'll say accidentally fall into that loop. What I took from your statement is you make it fun for your girls and you let them want to do it. You don't force
Yes.
them. Soccer's coming. Your girl, you got to get up. You got to go. You want to be on the team. You want to be all state. You want to, you want to do the things that I never did.
Dude, and you nailed it, because as someone, the first 10 years of my career, while I did work with quite a bit of pro athletes, the majority of my day was spent working with 7 to 13-year-olds from, my first decade was the large majority that youth development programming. And so I dealt with a lot of parents and crazy wrestling dads and freaking football dads. And it's so funny after doing that for a decade and then having a lot of NFL players that I trained that retired and became dads, and comparing how they treated their kids with sports compared to the dude with the big beer belly who's forcing Johnny to go to wrestling practice and have a strength and conditioning coach, and you could tell the kid doesn't want to be there. There was a direct correlation at 99% of the time with the dad's athletic success and how much of a dick he was to his kids. All the NFL guys I've trained, now a lot of them, their sons are studs, but none of them, a lot of them even said to me, like in confidence, without having their kids here, like, I hope my kid doesn't want to play football. It's freaking violent. It hurts, but genetically, that you could, their kids just had it in them, but on their own, their sons wanted to play football. And so they played, but not pushed on them at all. And then the dads are just the dads that I know are super supportive and awesome. The ones that are the pains in the asses, when you do a little research, they didn't even they got cut from the high school wrestling team. And now they're trying to force their, little Johnny to be all state, and the kid wants nothing to do with it. I always found that very interesting, that like, man, the dads that are overbearing like that and just making their kids hate sports and working out were all the ones that have some kind of regret or whatever from not doing anything with their own life. So they push it on their kids, and it never ends well, at least the ones that I've dealt with.
Never ends well. I mean, you and I combined, we know it, we see it. It never ends well. Dads, moms listening, give your children access to a wide variety of sports. Find what they have an aptitude for, an interest in, what they absolutely enjoy. Like, enable that. Drive them to practice, do the little bit of investment, make them, if they sign up for it, hey, make them follow out the season, right? Make them show up for practice, do all this stuff, but they don't have to hit the fucking home run or be the star pitcher. Let them play and have fun and get all the life lessons like our kids do. The tennis and gymnastics and karate and piano and violin and art and dance, and like our kids are exposed to a wide variety of stuff, and they love it right now because they're still young, 8 and 9 years old. And as they continue through, they'll kind of start, and they're already starting to gravitate towards the things that they really enjoy, which are kind of aligned with what they're pretty good at. So that they're getting a lot of good, positive reinforcement of that. I want my daughters to be in science. I don't want, I work with Ronda Rousey. I don't want my daughters to take a puncher. I want them to know how to take a punch or throw a punch, like to defend themselves in the real world, have confidence. But I'm not pushing my kids to get a D1 scholarship. I won't be mad if they do, right? Of course, right? But it's a matter of allowing them to develop as well-rounded humans, as good humans, and they have an appreciation for art, for science, for athleticism, for sports, for all the beautiful things. I mean, that's ideal.
Absolutely.
Worked with, like you, we work with these elite athletes. We understand, God darn, there's so much more. And I see a lot of parents are like, hey, my son was the, state champion. I was like, oh, how old? He's 7th grade. I laugh. I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Come back to me in 4 years from now. Because odds are very, very few 7th grade state champions go anywhere in high school.
Yep.
Right. And it
whether it's the burnout or a lot of youth sports, it's just like the kids who develop the fact they hit puberty earlier than others. So they kind of excel. But yeah, it's very, very rare. You know, even a lot of the NFL guys I trained, the linemen, 6'6", 6'7", they played basketball in high school, were like second team all county, and were like later bloomers. And then
Yeah.
this enabled them to make it to the NFL. Their body wasn't destroyed. They kind of bloomed a little later. I've seen that be better for, you know, making it to that 1% if you wanted to. It's not so much people model like, oh, Tiger Woods, his dad started him at 2 years old, and look, yeah, that's one example. You look at the vast majority of pro athletes, and I could speak mostly dealing with football players, NFL players, the majority of them, exactly like you just said, played multiple sports when they were younger. I don't think I had one NFL football player that I've ever trained. I've trained over 100 that only specialized in football their whole life. Football, baseball, basketball, wrestling, they did everything. And then as they got older, exactly like you said, you start gravitating towards the one you're the best at, you like the most. That's the making of the 1% of pro athletes. 99% of them got there not from specializing at 6 years old. They did everything, exposed their bodies to everything, were just kind of athletic and enjoyed everything. And when you expose them to more during those developmental years, that larger foundation helps you create a higher peak when you do specialize. But if you specialize from day one, it's for 99%, it's going to lead to burnout, physically, mentally, or both, or the kid just might, if he does excel early, it's because he maybe hit puberty early and he's bigger than everyone, but then they all catch up and those kids fizzle out. So the best thing to do, exactly what you're doing and did, is expose them to everything at a young age, and let them develop that base level of coordination, mobility, relative body strength. And then as they get older, they'll gravitate towards what one or two sports they want to stick with, and you take it from there.
That's it. Love it. All right. Now, January 24th, you have a webinar coming up, which I'm excited to hear about and learn about. And I know a lot of those listening right now are going to be very excited to know that they might even be able to come and join you. January 24th. Explain now. What's going on? What are you doing, buddy?
So I'm doing a gym growth masterclass, basically, and it's totally free. There's no bullshit catch or anything. Like, it's actually an hour of information that will help you grow your gym business. I do it myself and Chris Tutela, who is a gym owner here in New Jersey as well, very successful. Tutela Training Systems. A pretty cool story. Chris was a firefighter. And when I opened up my current private gym that I'm at now, 9 years ago, I was doing private consultations for not gym people who wanted to get into the gym business, but were like me, not a huge business background, don't have a ton of money, just want to open up a small spot and do what they love for a living. Chris was my very first consult. His girlfriend at the time bought him a consultation with me. And over the next 7 years, he would come to me once a year, and we would go over step by step. All right, his goal was to quit the fire department, open his own gym. Very long story short, over the course of the years, by year 2, quit the fire department, opens his own gym, expands 2 or 3 times during the course of the next 7 years, now has a very profitable multiple 6-figure gym business in New Jersey and is growing. And the cool thing was, he documented everything, that all the advice I gave him over the years to get to that level. And then he exceeded anything that I've ever exceeded business-wise, because it's a different world now with sales and marketing and the internet and all that type of shit.
Yeah.
And so then I started asking him questions. The teacher kind of became the student. We took all of that and said, you know what? This is like a super impactful, like for those of us who don't have a ton of money, but we just love training people. We want to get results, but we want to make a business out of our passion. What are the things that most people need to do? What's the biggest mistakes they make, etc.? And we came up with the Iron Business Blueprint, which is a 90-day coaching course, but we also have a free webinar where we teach you, it's kind of like the Cliff Notes version, the best of the best. These are the things we recommend, from a how to organize group training to make more money per hour without watering down your results, to sales and marketing in 2025, but doing it in not a salesy, sleazy way, just being honest and upfront and transparent. And we're teaching all that for free at the webinar on the 24th. It is, again, it's fully free, and we're also giving away a full scholarship to our 90-day coaching course, which the next class starts in February. So if people want to attend the webinar, you go to ironbusinessblueprint.com/scholarship and you fill out the application. It's just basic information. And we ask you a little bit about your gym. And then that gives us your information so we could send you the link for the webinar. But then that also automatically enters you to potentially win a full scholarship to the 90-day coaching program. So no catch, no strings attached. You attend the webinar and we teach you how to grow your gym business.
And who is this for? Like, who would be the ideal student who comes? So those listening right now, is it like, oh, my gym's not big enough yet, I haven't even started yet? Or who's ideal?
Great question. The webinar, those interested in opening up their own gym, or those currently with a gym doing 20 grand or less a month. Okay. That's kind of our ideal. If and those who have done the best in our coaching program, and even those who just took this webinar, we just had one of the guys who attended the webinar had his first $40,000 month. We have another one that was averaging $7 grand a month in recurring revenue, who is now at 14 grand a month in recurring revenue. Like, we've had some crazy, it's not just a bullshit, freaking, we give you a bunch of motivational quotes kind of webinar. It's actual tactics. Do this, 100% for free. Do these things and you will make more money in your gym business, and do it in an ethical way and in a way that doesn't water down your results. Because the thing I don't like about a lot of the gym business courses and webinars, it's all about just get more people in your gym. How to become a multi-millionaire. I don't want to be a multi-millionaire if everyone's going around saying, yeah, Defranco's used to be a badass gym, but I go there now and there's a million people running around and it sucks. They have you do burpees for an hour and it's just a bunch of bullshit. Like, I want to still be known as the results guy. And that's really what we focus on and teach. So if you have a gym, even we have guys that train people out of their garage, out of their basement, small. A couple people who followed in my footsteps, storage closets, small warehouses. If you have a gym business and you're just kind of getting by, you're doing okay, you're paying the bills, this is perfect for you. This is going to get you from just getting by to thriving and having consistent recurring revenue that you could have a real sustainable business.
I love that, brother. It's what a huge need for this type of mentorship to those passionate coaches who are putting in so much time of their day to tread water in a riptide, right? It's hard out there when they don't know what to do, busy working hard, but putting a few of these systems in place, a few of the structures necessary to buy back their time and then have some revenue left over where they can start living the lifestyle that they've been trying so hard. And I know how hard that is. You look around, I like to say most personal trainers, they're basically bartenders, right? It's transactional. They
Yep.
show up to work, they get a couple dollars, they got to spend it on the bills, they got to go back up. It's just they're working shifts for cash, right?
Exactly. I think that's most of them. Listen, it's most of us get into this because we love training, we love helping people, but we have no business background, so we just do that. Yeah, I train you, you give me money, you're chasing after people. Oh, they owe me for 3 sessions. You can't run a sustainable business that way. And listen, I come from a place of I was that guy.
Yeah.
Chris was that guy. I'm sure you did
I
that
was
as
that
well.
guy.
That's what it's for. It's like the business course for those of us who got into this business not because we love business, we love helping people, but now, two meathead Italian dudes from New Jersey, if we could do it and grow our gym businesses into successful, multiple six-figure gym businesses, you could do it too. None of us had money, investors when we started. We made the mistakes, and then we teach you exactly what not to do and also what to do to save you a ton of time. And we've had 3 webinars like this so far, and the testimonials are inspiring to say the least. People doubling and tripling their recurring revenue, like really changing their lives, which is just that's what I love to do now. I just really love helping people be able to do what they love for a living. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it, and this course has been very cool to teach that.
Awesome. Now, before we get going, I have 2 questions to kind of close on, which are maybe a little more fun. Now, the first question, years ago, I had a $1 billion idea that never came to fruition. And, the only one who really knows about it is my wife. And I was going to start a TV show. Now, this is back when Ashton Kutcher was doing Punk'd and a lot of these kind of shows were going. The name of my TV show was I'm Gonna Beat You Up. And I would invite guests onto the show that had no idea. It would be under false pretenses. Wouldn't tell them why they're on. We could make up with some bull story. Long lost relative. You won something. You got some, famous one person wants to meet you. I'm going to beat you up. They come on the show. They walk out. Picture like Jay Leno stage, big production, big audience. Everybody in the audience knows this person's about to get their ass kicked. Curtains would open. They're standing there waiting for what happens. The audience would scream, I'm going to beat you up. And I'd run out and just fucking Goldberg spear double the motherfucker and just pound him, beat the fucking shit out of him. And then give him like a little, popcorn maker or something, send them on their way parting gift. So my first guest would have been Justin Timberlake for whatever reason. I know, Joe. Needless to say, the show never happened. I couldn't get it greenlit. Nobody would sign on to it for some reason. I think it'd be great. Who wouldn't watch it? It probably only would go 1 season because by season 2, everybody would know. Justin Timberlake, because I didn't like his face. I didn't like his little little curly Q, yellow hair. I didn't like that he was so fucking talented. I didn't like that he was married to Jessica Biel. A lot of things I didn't like about Justin Timberlake. He would have been guest number 1. So if you're hosting the show, who would you have on your show?
Oh my God. There's a few, but what's coming to my mind right now, it's not a, excuse me, because I just talked about this on my podcast of people who are pissing me off currently. So I would have right now, and I probably have 10 different answers during 10 different times of the day, but I would have a group. It would be your first episode that isn't just a singular person. I'm going to say every shirtless influencer in a grocery store right now.
Paul Saladino, come on up.
Making the same bullshit video of, don't eat this, don't eat that, stating the obvious, Lucky Charms are bad, no shit. Every shirtless influencer filming in a grocery store. We raid all the grocery stores in New Jersey or in the United States. Who's ever shirtless and filming a TikTok or Instagram video, pile them all up. It'll be like Squid Game 3. They don't like, they just standing there, and then we'll just get I'll come with you. I think I still got a couple fucking spears left in me. I used to be a pretty good linebacker.
Yes, sir.
And we'll just take them all out. But that's my crew for right now, the people on my mind that I'd like to see get beat up.
Dude, I love it, and I appreciate that, and I agree. He would be in season 1, by the way.
Oh my
Right.
God.
And
Yeah, I
Joe,
think there's so many. It's funny, and I know Paul definitely started it,
yeah.
but I didn't even think of him right now because I'm thinking of there's dozens of other like even lesser qualified people who are just trying to be like him, who don't even know a quarter of what he knows. Like we're just
Wow.
you know what I mean? I don't know if they're popping up on your feed, but I feel like everything. I guess because I freaking probably stopped and scrolled and got annoyed with it, and then how the algorithm works, then it feeds you more of the shit that's
Yes.
pissing you off. But yeah, I mean, I'm picturing like 7, 8 different people in my mind.
I'm sure now that we're talking about it, my phone's listening, and I'm going to start getting all these, shirtless fucking thumb dicks popping up. And what
Oh my
I
God.
remember when I first started seeing Paul doing that stuff, I was like, who's this fucking dickhead? And I'm
Oh.
thinking, like, my wife and my daughters go grocery shopping, and I'm gonna like some fucking dirt bag's gonna be with his shirt off in the produce section while my wife is trying to get fucking strawberries. Like, what a narcissistic piece of shit you are, dude. Like, you can't make your fucking point in a different way. And also, let me go in on Paul a little bit more. This motherfucker uses grocery stores as if they're his production studio without paying a fucking day rate, and then gets pissed when they say, hey, you can't film here. Can you not do that? And he doesn't even buy the cart of fucking groceries afterwards.
Yeah, you're touching the shit. That's what I just talked about this on my podcast yesterday. I'm baffled that more grocery stores aren't cracking down on, like, no, this isn't a production studio, to your point. People shop here, little kids come here, families come here, and you got every other aisle there's some shirtless jerk off yelling at what you're not allowed to eat. Like, I saw one where usually he's just by himself, and I don't know if the people were in on it with him, but he went into somebody's shopping cart. They had like a head of lettuce and some broccoli, and he's like berating them for freaking buying a head of lettuce and broccoli. Like, if that was real, again, like if that's my wife and kids and a shirtless dude walks up to her and touches like and goes into her cart, like, I'm getting arrested because like no, leave my freaking wife and kids alone.
Absolutely. That video is going viral for a whole
Yeah,
nother
you want a
fucking
viral
reason,
video? You got it.
right? All right. Last question here is, I know this is, nutrition and health and best practices, but Joe Defranco's cheat meal.
Oh,
Go, baby. I want to hear it. I want to enjoy it as much as you do. Paint the picture for us.
there's so many. I'm such a gabon. I love to freaking eat, but my go-to is probably penne vodka. I love my penne vodka with it's not this wouldn't even be a cheat, but I gotta have like a filet mignon on the side. I get my protein on the side. I'm a big filet guy, but penne vodka and for dessert, I want a man. There's the dessert is where I freaking go off. Freshly baked chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh.
I'm a very simple guy with that. It's freshly baked chocolate chip cookies out of the oven. I can't beat. I'd also like a chocolate lava cake with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top of there. I'm gonna throw that in there and some banana bread pudding. I'm gonna have 3 desserts on my cheat meal. I'm gonna go hard on the desserts. But yeah, oh man, that's but as the day goes on, I'll probably think of about 20 other foods that which probably good I can't think of them because it shows I've put them out of my mind because I'm one of those once I start, it's tough to stop. So I try to put them out of my mind and keep them out of the house.
I'm the same. Now, how big were you? Because you've been fucking huge too, jacked. I mean, you're fucking big. How big were you at your biggest?
I was 236 at 5'10" and a half, 5'11", and now I walk around at like 193. So I was like another person pretty much.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I, Brandon,
Loaded as hell.
I make jokes with my wife that she got to date like four different dudes while we've been together, right? I'm sure Ashley also same thing,
So yes, so true.
right? It keeps it interesting. All right, Joe DeFranco, my brother, I appreciate you so much, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us to share, all of your wisdom. I mean, we didn't even scratch the surface of all that is you, but it's so awesome having you here. First guest back on the interview series, which is awesome. For everyone listening, you have to go to defrancostraining.com. You have to follow Joe on Instagram at defrancosgym.com. Again, the webinar January 24th. Where do they go specifically for this? I want to make sure that we link all this stuff in the show notes, descriptions below the videos and whatnot so they can find you.
The webinar ironbusinessblueprint.com/scholarship that will reserve your spot and enter you to win the scholarship to our coaching program.
Awesome. And everybody listening right now, absolutely go there. It is a free 1 hour mastermind with Joe DeFranco. And your partner's name again?
Chris Tutela.
Chris Tutela. It's funny. I know a young lady in the fitness shop, Bradley Beach, Zuriel. I don't know if you remember her. Zuriel,
Yeah.
she like was raving about it. I was like, I'm buddies with Joe. She's like, oh my God. She's like, this event was, I don't know which part of it she was, but she was like, it was awesome because she was a former Equinox trainer, moved back down here to Jersey.
Yes.
So like, she's high end too. I mean, I see her in the gym. I'm like, high five, coach. Fucking crushes it, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's awesome. Small world, but yeah, that's right. And that's more success stories to come. It really is. I hate the webinars that's just like a sale for something else. And yes, we have a 90-day course. We mention it for 2 minutes at the end if you're interested. But if you don't do the 90-day course, you get actual tactics and actionable advice to actually grow your gym. It's not a bullshit scam. We give you the real world, information. So we've had amazing success stories with this. This is round 4. So hopefully it'll be the best one yet.
And with the courses, like you want 1,000 people to attend the free course. You don't want 1,000 people to move on to the 90-day. It's like you just want a fraction of that.
Yes.
The people who are ready,
really, really ready and want to do it. Yeah.
But for the other 900, 950 people, let's say, it's like, do the things you learn in the 1 hour course. And then eventually you might want to upgrade when you're at that next level. Then you move on to the 90-day, course and mentorship from there.
You nailed it. And that's exactly, and we even limit the 90-day course. We limit to 12 people because we work with you individually. So we don't want, to your point, we're not trying to sell 1,000 people. We're just trying to get you to get your gym to the next level. And then we're not trying to hide anything. Even the sales pitch, it's not sneaky. We're very open and upfront. Do this free stuff and let us prove to you it works. And you go, oh shit, I took their free advice and I doubled my gym's recurring revenue. I wonder what the hell I could learn if I spend 90 days with these guys working with me individually. And then that's where we help take you to the next level. Not trying to hide anything. We're very proud of what we do. We know it works, but that's literally the system. Expose more people to it. We want you to have success. And then you come back to us and take the 90-day course when you're ready. And if you don't want to, go on your way. No harm, no foul. I'm not going to be emailing you every day. I let you go about your business.
Absolutely, dude. That is fucking awesome, man. Oh, I'm super happy here, excited for that because I've been hearing about it for a while, which is awesome. Also, you still running the CPPS?
Yes, I appreciate you bringing that up. So I just wanted to say, for if you don't own a gym and you just want to be the best damn trainer or coach, we have an incredible certification course for trainers and coaches. That's at cpps.com. If you click on schedule, you'll see we have the January online course has started. We have our level 1. We have a football specific certification, which is incredible. And then we also have a longevity training seminar where I go more in depth on the 12 longevity laws I talked about here today. I do that with my partner, Smitty, Jim Smith. We recorded our first ever longevity training seminar, which was a huge success. You could download that. You'll see the link to that on the CPPS website as well. So that's for all the trainers and coaches out there.
Man, bro, you have so much amazing content for literally everyone, from the high school, college age athlete who's trying to be a better, better in their sport, to the, 20 to 30-year-old bro who's looking to get fucking jacked and stacked, to the 35 to 55-year-old dude who's trying to now refine things, feel better, get mobile, healthy, to the gym owner, to the personal trainer, literally everyone who's on the fitness spectrum. Joe Defranco has a program for you guys. Definitely go and check Joe out. Make sure you follow all of his social stuff, all of his content. You put out so much great content. Also, your fucking podcast is great. Check out Joe's podcast. Make sure you subscribe into that and listen to every episode as it comes out, and just keep leveling up.
Thank you so much, brother. It's honored that you had me on as your first guest back, man. It was so great hearing from you and catching up with you. I got to have you back on my podcast. It's been freaking 9 years, so I'm going to hit you back up when we're done here, and we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely, Joe. Well, brother, I appreciate you, man. Best to the family. Keep fucking crushing it. I look forward to chatting again soon, my friend.
You too, bro. Thank you.
All right, Joe. Talk soon. Bye.
Later.
Boom. There we go. Joe Defranco, ladies and gentlemen. What a great dude, right? I mean, how awesome is Joe? How exceptional experience, all the X's, well, in a good way, is Joe. Make sure you follow his stuff, defrancostraining.com, at DeFranco's Gym on Instagram. Definitely follow Joe's podcast. What are the real ones? And I don't give compliments lightly over here. Joe Defranco has my deepest respect. Great family man, great dad, most importantly, business owner. Never heard a bad thing about Joe in all my years doing this. Never heard a bad word about Joe Defranco, and quite the opposite, only amazing reviews for him. Want to thank our sponsors, Bondi Pure. Make sure you check out BondiPure.com. Check out the amazing product I've been talking about. Eliminate bloating, improve gut health, increase energy, remove cravings. Bondi Pure is the missing link, possibly in your health and fitness protocol. I take Bondi Pure shakes twice per day, once after my fasted list in the morning, the second one after dinner to kick off my fast in the late evening, so I'm not hungry, ravenously hungry. My digestion system has never been better. Plus, Bondi Pure offers a 90-day money-back guarantee. Who does that? 90-day money-back guarantee. If for any reason you're not happy, hey, let them know, and they will take the product back, or you don't even have to send it back. They will give you your money back, most importantly. Also, want to thank Stronger Supplements. Check out Burn Rate, our 4-phase fat burner. That's right, Burn Rate was formulated by myself. Burn Rate at Stronger, GRR, StrongerSupplements.com. The link is below this video in the show notes. Our 4-phase fat burner, 100% scientifically proven with the clinically effective doses and all natural, zero synthetics ever in all Stronger supplements. Nobody else does that, right? We also have our Stronger Creatine, 100% pure creatine monohydrate, available to you at, I think, the lowest cost possible for the highest quality. So check out StrongerSupplements.com. And the new Dolce Whey will be launched in just a few weeks. That will all be at Stronger Supplements. Last but not least, we have the 83% discount right now on the Dolce Diet Total Body Transformation Program. Yes, you can save 83% on our unlimited 12-month total body transformation plan, which has our Shred Dad program, our Sculpt and Tone for Women program, our Squats and Steak program, our Body Armor program, our Living Lean program, our 3 Weeks to Shredded program, and more programs being added soon at no additional cost to our 12-month members. Plus, All 12-month members are invited to join me live every single month for a 1 hour coaching call. 1 hour of super intense, live, direct group coaching. Ask your questions. Hear from me. Get the pro tips. Get the motivation. Our last coaching call in December was incredible. Our next one is coming up soon. This is only for members of the 12-month unlimited platform. You get the coaching call access, which is fucking crazy because you consider with respect what my rate is to charge for a 30-minute coaching call. I charge more money for one 30-minute coaching call than you will pay for an entire 12 months of access, including 12 1-hour coaching calls, which is an amazing value proposition, my friends. So click that link below, get.thedolcediet.com. Click that link below and get the 83% discount right now while it is still available. Lock in your savings. Get started because summer is coming, and I want you to be ready now, not later. Again, huge thank you to our friend Joe Defranco. We have great guests coming up over the next couple weeks. We have Jay Ferrugia from the Renegade Strength Podcast. Jay is the king of the hard gainers. Love Jay, another Jersey guy. We have Allie Gilbert, aka the Boner Queen. I don't know why, but we're gonna ask Allie about that one. Allie Gilbert from Silverback Coaching and the Silverback Summit. Love Allie. It's gonna be great to have her on. We have Mr. Dave Lee. Dave Lee is a savant when it comes to optimizing your overall health with a very specific aptitude in hormones, male or female. We are going down deep in the rabbit hole with Dave Lee about hormone health, how to optimize hormones, talking about drugs, TRT, peptides, melatonin, DHEA, pregnenolone, thyroid, PCOS, Hashimoto's, all that stuff with Dave Lee. We also have IFBB pro Jason Poston coming on. Jason Poston is a type 1 diabetic while being the first ever IFBB professional to ever compete on the Mr. Olympia stage. Jason also is a very high up executive in one of the nation's premier hormone optimization clinics. So we're going to go down deep again in hormone optimization, more specifically on the actual prescription medicine side with Jason. So it's going to be interesting to hear that. We're going to go down deep into the peptide rabbit hole with Jason. We're going to talk about the GLP-1 agonists, the semaglutides, the Wegovy's, the Ozempics, the tirzepatides, the CJC 1295, BPC, TB 500, ipamorelin, semarelin, GHRPs. We're going to go down deep. And what else is out there that we don't even know about? Super excited. That's just a small list of the many guests we have coming for you guys here on the new and improved Mike Dolce show with our interview series. Every single Monday, we will have new interviews coming for you. And then I'm going to babble and rant at least one other day a week where it's just you and I. I'm going to do more of our Q&A show answering your questions. So if you have any questions for me, please send them to Coach Mike at thedolcediet.com. We're not going to overload Gabby anymore. Coach Mike at thedolcediet.com. Subject line, just put question, excuse me, and then ask your question. Write whatever name you want me to say on air. It can be a fake name. It can be a fun name. It can be your real name. It can be a part of your, I don't care. You tell me what the question is and how I can announce your name in a way that's comfortable for you, and I will answer your question live on air. So I'm excited for that portion of it. Also, guys and gals, I appreciate you. If you have not yet, make sure you are subscribed to this podcast, both on iTunes, on Spotify, on YouTube. Make sure you're following our YouTube channel because snippets of this show will be on the YouTube channel also. Right? Little sound bites, little shorts, things where we're really taking a lot of time for you guys to get into the production. So make sure you subscribe to Dolce Diet on YouTube and you're following and also you're engaging. Make sure you're just clicking like. You're adding a little comment. The more you engage with the algorithm, the more the algorithm will actually enjoy our content and push our content out to similar audiences. We want to grow the show for you. The bigger this show gets, the bigger our guests will be. I want big guests on this show. I want to be able to reach out to Andrew Huberman. I want to be able to get Huberman on here. I want to get some of the A-listers out there that might not yet be on this show simply because we're not quite as high up in the rankings as we should be. And that's going to be you guys. I'm going to do my best to deliver great content to you, consistent content to you, bring as many awesome guests as I can to you. I want to get Gary Brecka on the show. Will Gary actually get on the show? I want to get Lane Norton on the show. Let's talk, Lane. Let's see where we agree and where we don't agree. Can we have a respectful conversation? We will see about that. Who else? Dana White. I think that's what I can actually get on. But I don't want to get guys like Dana or Chael. Like Chael, I can get on anytime I want with respect. But I don't want to have a guy like Chael or Dana on until our numbers are bigger and our ranking is bigger, to give them the respect that they deserve. I don't want them to do me a favor. I want us to grow this show to a level that they want to be on this show, because our audience has grown to the point that it's respectful to ask them to be on, but also we're going to drive more traffic to them, the things that they do. Now, you guys here are the OGs. You will always be the core, be the foundation. You'll say, you know what? I was a subscriber to the early version of the Mike Dolce show on the YouTube channel. I was there when Dolce's YouTube channel was at 55. I think we're at 55,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. I was there when he was below 100,000, up when we're over 1 million. I was there. I was one of the first 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000. As long as you're one of the first 100,000 or so, you are one of the OGs, because we're going to grow that YouTube channel, but also this podcast right here. Every so often, we jump into the top 100 in health and fitness. You know, we'll get a little bit higher, and then we fall off. I want to be a perennial top 20. I want to be a perennial top 20 this year, in the year 2025, a perennial top 20 health and fitness podcast on iTunes, on Spotify. And that's only going to come from you guys engaging. So engage. Make sure you 5 stars. Make sure you leave comments. Share this video. Share this podcast. Share with your friends. Throw it up in your story on Instagram. All this stuff helps us to grow. Throw it up on your Facebook page. All this will help us to grow. The more we grow, the better, the bigger the guests I can get on. I want to get to that point where we're getting that Rogan level of guest on. I don't know that I wouldn't ask Rogan to come on the show with respect to him yet, until we have bigger audiences, right? Out of respect to these guests, I want to make sure our numbers are big enough that I can say, hey, I would love to have you on for our amazing audience, because our audience is amazing, but I want to make sure that we're at a ranking that they look and say, oh yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to. That's a big audience. I want to get there. Now, we have the content. I know that. We have the information. We have the knowledge. I mean, what a great guest list already. Joe DeFranco, fucking awesome. Jay Ferrugia. Jay's up there. I think the Jay's Renegade podcast is in the top 50, top 20. I think Joe gets up there too. I see Joe all the time in the rankings. Who else we got? There's some others that we have. I won't name names yet because we don't have dates. Once we have dates confirmed, I'll start naming their names too. But anyway, I am rambling once again. I am zooted up on this Dolce CoffeeRoasters.com black gold, baby. Freaking love it. So until next time, my friends, don't count calories. Make calories count. Boom.